Just wanted to make a short video kind of giving you some pointers on your final exam. Your final exam is going to cover Units 3 and Units 4. You need to look at the course calendar to make sure you know the dates that it's going to open. It will be open for 24 hours. You will have to use Proctorio. Proctorio will video you record you taking the exam. It will be a paper exam that you will view on your computer and write down on paper, and when you're finished, you will scan it and upload it to the Turnitin link that is provided. When you go into the final exam folder, there will be a video once again explaining how to use Proctorio. Then there will be a link where you will click on it and open the final exam. When you finish the test, you will have to show your scanning in the video. That's what timestamps it for me to know how long it's been since you'd scanned it until you get it turned in, because there is that 10-minute period. So do not end your video until you have scanned, and that's in the directions on the test as well. When you do take your test, I have to be able to see your workspace. So like if I could just see this would not be good enough. You have to adjust your computer, move it back far enough to where I can see you and your workspace. And so here, I can see phone, I can see calculator, I could get my paper out and see the paper. And so this is what I need to be able to see, your entire workspace, what's going on around you the entire time. And then as you're working, you're doing your work, you're looking at your screen, there is going to be a non-calculator and a calculator part, and that's very clear in the directions. 1 through 11, you will not use your calculator. And so what happens is I can see, because it's recording your screen and I can see what problem you're looking at, and I can see whether or not you're using your calculator. And so once you get to number 12, let me make sure that I'm saying the right number. Yeah. Once you get to number 11 on the test, that's when you can use your calculator. And so I'll see that you're to number 11 on your screen, and that's when you're going to be able to start using your calculator on your test, okay? As far as what's on the test and what to study, you need to study all of your notes from Unit 3 and from Unit 4. There is a Unit 3 review that you're going to want to do. There's a Unit 4 review that you're going to want to do. So study Unit 3, all of the notes. Unit 4, all of the notes. Review 3, Review 4. The reviews are not long because I mainly want you to study your notes. The best way for you to study is to reprint all of your notes and rework them. And as you're reworking them, if you have to go look something up, then you need to study that concept more. There should be no surprises on the test. There's not one thing on the test that's not in the notes. And so I always say there's a difference in understanding the material and knowing the material. I have students all the time that say, Ms. Thompson, I understand that. And a lot of times people do understand it, but do you know it well enough to reproduce it on the test? And that's why I always suggest with math, when you study, that you rework the problems until you don't have to look at anything to guide you through the problems. There are going to be 23 problems on your test, so it's not a really long test. However, some of those do have multiple parts to them. The test is going to start with the non-calculator part, and there are 10 questions on the non-calculator part. That's going to involve your adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions and mixed numbers. That's all from Unit 3. It's also going to involve scientific notation, proportions, percents, and decimal multiplication, how to change a fraction to a percent, how to change a fraction to a decimal. So those conversions, that's all in your notes. Every bit of this is in your notes. So that's all on 1 through 10. How to add, subtract, multiply, divide fractions, how to add, subtract, multiply, divide decimals, scientific notation, going from a fraction to a decimal, going from a fraction to a percent, and proportions. So that's stuff you're going to want to study from your notes. When you get to number 11, you're going to get to the calculator part. That's going to have some matching definitions. That's going to have some function stuff. finding the role of the function, the domain, the range of the function. That's all straight in your notes. From section 7.5, there's a chart where you have to check whether or not it's a natural number, whole number, integer. There's going to be a chart like that on your test on the calculator part. Pythagorean theorem, which was also from section 7.5. Demonstrating, going back to 5.1 and 5.2, your integers, knowing your order of operations. I do want you to make sure that you know how to model adding fractions using fraction bars. That's in Unit 3. It's straight off of the notes on the lesson where we do adding and subtracting fractions. The very first question on that set of notes says model using fraction bars, how to add these two fractions. That's going to be on your notes. You're also going to have to model adding and subtracting decimals with base 10 blocks. That's straight off of your notes as well. So just make sure you study your notes well. Like I said, there's 23 problems total, 10 on the non-calculator part. The remaining ones you can use a calculator. Like I said, if you study your notes well and you can work all of your problems well, then you shouldn't have any problem. Now, if there is something that you don't know well, do remember that you can use one 3x5 note card with handwritten notes on both sides. And so if there's something that you're just studying and you're not getting, then you want to make sure that you put that on your note card. And when you take your test, you can have your note card, and I'll be able to see that in your video, but that's fine. That's something that you are allowed to use on the final. The final does carry a good amount of weight, and so it's something that can really boost your grade or it can hurt your grade. And so just know that it's something you want to really study for so that you get a boost to your grade at the end, and not something that lowers your grade. If you have any questions, definitely reach out.